Good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee and Sports, the morning show, man. We are live and we are missing somebody for some apparent reason. Uh, Why is it not adding him to the stage? Yo, what's going on here? But I'm your host this morning, Carmike. I'm here with Mo Gardy. How y'all doing this morning, man? Will.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
There you go.
It's Will.
Oh, he left. but
It went from Will to won't.
Carter, what's up, man? I'm glad you could join us this morning, man. Hey, Will, what's going on? There you go. How you
Will.
doing, brother?
How you doing, guys? How you doing this morning?
So, what you got for us, Will, this morning with WWE, big dog?
Just a couple of things. Wasn't too impressed with Raw last night. So I want to bring up a couple of things. First of all, congratulations to Naomi. She announced her pregnancy last night, and she did go ahead and relinquish the title. Congratulations to Naomi on that. I know that's something she wanted to do, and shout out to WWE for letting her have the opportunity to definitely start a family. The second thing I want to talk about, Karen Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux. Excuse me for butchering that last name, but those guys have been released from the company. And we got a couple of wrestling guys here. I want to get y'all's opinion on that whole situation because I don't think WWE made a sound decision getting rid of Karrion Kross and Scarlett. They seem to have made an impact on their own outside of the company, and it seems that WWE is sort of kind of against that because you also see the same thing with LA Knight. He's beginning to have a following outside of the company, like he made his own following, so to speak. Do you think WWE made the right decision in not bringing Karrion Kross back? Go there. I'll start with you.
I think the answer to that, in all reality, is yeah. I think they did actually. And the only reason I say that, right, is I think that Karrion Kross obviously he's gaining a great supporting, and he does have talent, but that talent wasn't being properly valued in WWE. I think he has a style that can work well, maybe in a different company, maybe hit up Bloodsport, maybe some GZW. Like there's companies that will value exactly what Karrion Kross brings to the table. But to me, it was very apparent that WWE just wasn't going to be the one to really value that. So I think if that's the case, if you're WWE, just let him walk. Let him go somewhere where he can actually kind of spread his wings and fly and be himself, and don't handicap him and waste his time, considering you don't see him at the level where he sees himself. So I think it's probably in the best interest of both WWE and Cross that they both go their separate ways, even if it's just temporarily.
What you think, Mo? You think that was a good move to get rid of Karrion and Scarlett?
Yeah, I think it's a good move on both sides. One, Karrion Kross is charismatic and he's entertaining on the mic, but he's a better podcaster than he is a wrestler. And so he has a strong following, but he's built it up more for what he says away from wrestling than when he's actually in the ring. I think he has value. Brett and I talked about this. I just think that there's a role for him in WWE that they never wanted to put him in, because we always talk about who's going to be that next great mouthpiece when Paul Heyman's gone. We never even think about that because he's always been there. But I think Karrion Kross is a great mouthpiece. I think he's the guy that could be a head of a faction without necessarily being the best wrestler in the faction.
Right.
So I think him stepping away, building up his brand, whether it's in Ring of Honor or AEW, I think he makes the rounds, builds himself up some more, and I think eventually he'll find his way back in the WWE in a better role.
Last thing I want to bring up was Jade. It's apparently that the company has changed their view on Jade. It looks like they're canceling her push that she was getting. I'll start with you on this one. Do you think that's right?
So I think that they're doing the smart thing because they were trying to put her on a rocket ship and just skip some steps. and make her one of the top 5 women in the women's division. She's not ready yet from an in-ring performer. From that standpoint, she's just not there yet. When you look at her in the ring, she's a power wrestler. And so she doesn't have a lot of nuance, or she's not that skilled in the ring, not that agile. Her timing is off. I think they just need to continue to develop her, right? We should approach Jade the way you would approach a rookie in football or basketball or any other sport. She's a developing talent, and if they take the time to develop her right, she will be that superstar that they want. But there's no need to rush when you look at how strong the women's division is. Like some people will, what's the line? They just have it already. Like right now today, while Jade is a bigger name, I'm sure you would agree Stephanie Vicor is more ready than she is.
Yes, I'll agree with that. Gardner, what do you think about Jade?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The thing is with her, it's almost like when I was watching her push and get that title match so quickly, it almost felt like a very similar thing that they accidentally did with, for example, Ryback, where they kind of strapped that, rocket ship to him and accelerated him a little too quickly. And there's a very real chance of it backfiring. And I think it's smart to just not have her win the title, keep her away from the title picture, just let her continue to develop. Take your time. Let her win the women's U.S. title, Intercontinental. I think she's a great prospect, but at the end of the day, I think she clearly just needs more time. And I think they made the right call at SummerSlam by not just throwing the title on her, because as soon as, got to send the champ out there to be like, hey, go cut a promo and then have a great 10-minute match, I think that would have gotten exposed rather quickly.
Yeah. I think so too. She got the look. She's got all the tools. She just needs to take that time. And I thought it was a mistake for WWE to bring her in and not have her go to NXT. When she goes down to NXT, let Sean get help her out a little bit, get her to where she can cut a promo, get her timing down in the ring. There's talent there she can work with. You got Sora Ruka, who's still down there doing her thing, North American champion. So yeah, she can definitely do her thing at NXT. All right, Carmike, that's all I got, bro.
About to get straight into it, man. I don't know if y'all been paying attention, man, and seeing the back and forth banter between Gilly the Kid and Cam Newton, man. Cam said some things of clearly what pretty much the majority of the media been saying. Jalen Hurts is not, amongst the elite of quarterbacks. The Mahomes, Jackson, Allen. Gilly wasn't feeling that, so he went on there, started talking about Jalen Hurts is better than Cam. Cam don't got a championship, of course, but yeah, it's been very entertaining to watch them two online going back and forth at each other. Mo, what you think, man? Do you think this is even called for all over Jalen Hurts, man?
Mo, what you think, man?
I don't think it's called for, but look, from a fan's point on the outside looking in, both of them have huge egos and personalities. And Gilly's one of the most entertaining people on the planet, no matter what he does. And so to see him and Cam go back and forth, obviously Cam plays the you never played, right? He can play that hand. I think at one point he attacked. Had anybody ever listened to a Gilly album before? He called him a failed artist. He said the best thing about Gilly is he's a good mascot. He's a mascot. And then Gilly said Cam's a sensitive dude that wears tight slacks or some shit like that. All I'm saying is I like that they have strong opinions, guys, but now it's gotten really personal. And I think it's gone. It's not even about Jalen Hurts anymore. Now it's about each other. And I think I don't want to see two brothers tear each other down like that.
Hey, when does football have never been personal, man? It's always been personal.
Like that? When's the last time one guy called another guy a mascot?
I mean, you can go back to the beginning of time, man. People Bama playing the dogs and all types of it gets crazy with fans, man, especially football in the South. Psh.
No, fan bases I get, but these are like two individual personalities going back and forth, I guess, through
Stephen A. LeBron went back and
through
forth.
social media. So look, I mean,
Will, what you think, man? How you feel about Gilly and Cam, man?
I hate the fact that we have to see this. And the thing that bothers me is the fact that we're using this whole championship thing. Don't get me wrong, I get when we look at championships as a litmus test or as a judge toward an athlete, but let's not forget that a championship isn't the only way to judge an athlete's worth. And I just hate seeing this. Jeremy's better because he's got a ring. Oh, okay. Okay, that's your opinion, but that doesn't necessarily, I don't think that devalues Cam not jumping on that fumble kind of devalues Cam. But I digress. He was still a great quarterback. He did everything he could for the Carolina Panthers. His first stint, I'm gonna talk about the Patriots stint. I'm gonna talk about the second Carolina stint. But I just hate seeing that. And I agree with him. I hate seeing two brothers also going after each other like this. But the whole thing that you haven't won a championship doesn't take away from the fact that you were a great player. And Cam was a great player.
Gardy, what you think, big dog?
Yeah, I don't think anybody can take away from how great, Cam Newton really was. He was very much like almost like a supernova. He just blew up real quick. You couldn't take your eyes off him. But unfortunately, just as quickly as, he blew up, the shoulder injuries just kind of finished him off a lot sooner than you would have liked to see. 2015, people like to talk about he didn't jump on the fumble. Also failed to mention that he produced 70% of his team's offense that year. And that's with Calvin Benjamin tearing his ACL like in preseason. So he is missing his wide receiver one all year, and he still put together an insane year. Yeah, when it comes to judging a quarterback's greatness, I think rings help, but they're the end-all be-all. Otherwise, we should probably be having more discussions about Trent Dilfer. But we're not doing that. And
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, no, this with those two has gone past the point of just Jalen Hurts. I kind of forgot that they were even talking about Jalen Hurts at all. And we're at a point with those two where it's just like, guys, just knock it off. y'all got better things to be doing. Just knock it off, please.
Look, I'll say this. I think the problem with Cam is when somebody said, because what Cam was doing was, and he said he wasn't doing it, he was watering down how good a player Jalen Hurts was, because he was basically doing the, look what he has to work with, look what I had to work with. Anybody can always go with that line, look what he had to work with, look what I had to work with. I don't think it's fair to say that Jalen Hurts couldn't eventually be better than Cam Newton. He's obviously already had more success than Cam Newton will ever have, but Jalen Hurts is not a finished product. What happens if Jalen Hurts wins a regular season MVP to go along with what he's already won? Then what's going to be the excuse then? Like, I think Cam was a great player for like 4 years, and then he was not a great player for the rest of his career.
Because you really got hurt.
He wasn't very good before he got hurt.
Well,
let's not act like he got hurt and then he got bad. He got bad while he was hurt. Then he got hurt. Like, he wasn't great, and he got multiple opportunities afterwards. Like, if we're gonna judge you on the breadth of your career, there's what you did in Carolina those first 4 years, which was special. Then there's the rest of your career. Like, what was wrong? Cam told everybody when he went to the Patriots, I'm 100% healthy. I'm ready to go. This is a fresh start. Unless he's a liar, he was 100% healthy, and he was a bum.
I think
maybe less than a bum when he was with the Patriots.
That's what I think. Yeah,
I think he was physically straight. I think he was just mentally broken.
I don't think y'all remember the series of events. I can't help it if
he got a brittle spirit. I can't help that.
No, do y'all remember what happened? He won an MVP. They went to the Super Bowl. He got dogged in the Super Bowl. That defense from the Broncos was tearing him up in there. And then the year after that, they played them again. The rest wasn't giving Cam no calls. He was getting destroyed that season because his antics. They wasn't even pulling the flag for him. He was getting lit up. That's how he got hurt.
It's football, like you said. It's football.
Come
I don't
on,
want,
man. You know,
I don't want no excuses. It's football. If you don't expect to get hit or laid into, don't play
no,
football.
like,
Don't play
come
football.
on. They wasn't calling no flags for this guy that year,
We
man.
don't call sympathy. You don't get sympathy stuff. The only guy that gets sympathy in football is Brady. So you don't get sympathy.
Nah, Mahomes get it too. They only pulled the flag in the Super Bowl on him because they was calling. But you know, hey,
Come on, man. They created rules for Tom Brady. Chill.
they
Created
did.
rules.
They did.
Like they actually created
think-
rules for Tom Brady.
I
I think
mean-
the thing that hurt Cam Newton more was Cam. He was 6'5", 260, 265.
A huge target. A huge
I think
target.
that's one thing that hurt Cam. Yeah, that hurt Cam. Hurt himself because the refs are gonna look at it. It's a big dude. He can take whatever punishment come his way.
Nah, they was looking at him like, oh, you want to be dancing and pulling the Superman off your chest and stuff like that. Let's see what happens when we ain't pulling no flags for you. He got lit up back there.
But remember, a lot of their offense was literally like what we see with Lamar Jackson. Carolina had a lot of design runs for Cam Newton. Like he ran the football almost as much as their running backs did. And that wasn't under duress. Those were design runs. If you're 6'5", 260, I don't care how big you are, it also makes you a bigger target.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with Cam too, the biggest difference between him and like design runs for like Lamar's design runs, he's actually trying to avoid people. Cam didn't do himself any favors by just actively trying to run through people, which, you know, made for some great highlights and led to a lot of touchdowns. But obviously at the same time, that physicality, you know, it wears on you after a while. And unfortunately, he was never able to improve his accuracy. So once the injuries started piling up, like all of a sudden that sub 60% completion percentage just wasn't going to cut it.
Do you think that he's actually rooting for Jalen Hurts? Of course not.
No, he ain't rooting for Jalen. No,
he's not rooting for Jalen Hurts because the more success Jalen Hurts has, the more he distances himself from guys like Cam Newton. He's not rooting for Jalen Hurts.
Who was Cam's best receiver in his career? Steve Smith.
That's a hell of a receiver.
Greg Olsen, Steve Smith.
Yeah,
right.
I think that was his best.
Oh, he had the tight end too. What was it, Olsen?
I forgot about Greg Olsen. Yeah, he had Greg Olsen. Yep.
But come on, Will. Come on, talk to us, Will. Run it down for us, big dog.
Okay, I got crushed yesterday, so I had to redo this. I got crushed with my Kyler Murray lover. Number 10, I got Brock Purdy. Number 9, I got Bo Nix. Number 8, I got Justin Herbert.
Wait! We ain't gonna speed past Bo Nix. What make you put Bo Nix at 9? Come on,
like Bo. Let's see, here we go again with my number 9 pick. Damn, man. I like Bo's situation. I agree with a lot of people saying he's going to take a step back, but I think he's going to take a step back in a good way because you do have RJ Harvey's there. You got J.K. Dobbins there, but you got a great tight end, and Evan Ingram. Cortland Sutton's going to be there.
Sutton's a beast.
And you got Sean Payton. I mean, so I think he will take a step back in terms of throwing the football, but that's going to be a good thing because they're going to produce a lot in the run game. And Bo can run himself. So I like Bo at 9. I really do.
All right. So what about Purdy at 10? What makes you put Purdy at 10?
Just the fact that I think he's going to overcome whatever projections he may have. I think George Kittle's going to have a good season. I think Jerron Johnson and what I call him Pretty Ricky. I think Pretty Ricky. I think those two guys are going to be productive in that offense. Defense is going to be hurting a little bit, so they're going to have to step it up offensively. But I like Purdy at 10. I just think that offense is going to overcome a lot of that.
Ayuk is out right now, and Jennings, what's his name? Jawan Jennings.
Jennings,
questionable. So he's about to be running with second, third string wideouts and George Kittle. CMC, we don't know how long he's gonna be there. So you still think he's gonna be at 10?
Go ahead, Mo.
Look, I'm a Niners fan, and if Brock Purdy if he's in the top 10, then even though I know he just signed this huge deal, if he's a top 10 quarterback this season, he should get a raise. He should actually get another raise.
Another raise?
Another raise.
He should actually get another raise. He's playing with an offensive line that's been patchwork. He's playing with a great running back, but he's an injury away from being out for the season. He doesn't have a number one. He actually doesn't have a number 1 or a number 2 wide receiver. And he's got George Kittle. Like, everything about their offense says they're going to be a middle of the road offense at best. if they're better than that, then Kyle Shanahan really is an offensive genius. This particular season will be a season where if the Niners offense is explosive, Kyle Shanahan will have had the coaching performance of the year by far. I just don't, I'm not knocking that Brock could be a top 10 quarterback. I just don't think he'll be one this season with the weapons that they don't have and the suspect offensive line.
Let me ask you this, Mo. Let me ask you this. You got Juwan Johnson coming there after a good year in mop-up duty that he had. George Kittle, if he can stay healthy, which I think he will, he was in fantasy. He was beating out some other tight ends as well. That was supposed to be above him. I think Kittle's gonna have a great season. Hopefully,
Kittle is great.
McBride.
Look, I think George Kittle is, if he's not number one, he's number two in terms of tight ends. And what makes him different is he's not just an elite blocker. He's a vertical threat as a tight end.
Yep.
But if you play the Niners, you don't think in the game plan, the first thing they say is, let's take away Kittle and see what their outside receivers can do. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't think the opposing defenses know that? Let's push Purdy to his left because he doesn't throw very well on the run. You don't think they know that? I'm only saying when I look at them, the offense does not look like it's set up for success. And when you say he's going to be top 10, does top 10 mean 30 touchdown, 10 picks? Because I don't see him having that type of season.
Wait. Go ahead, Will. Explain the rest of your list, big dog.
I like Justin Herbert. I like his situation. He's got Kenny Clark. He's got Kenny Clark back in the fold. That's going to be a safety net for him. Baker, he's got some good receiving talent, even though Chris Godwin's hurt. Even though Chris Godwin is hurt. You still got Mike Evans there. You still got Rashad White coming out of the backfield. I like that. Jaden Daniels, I had him at Jalen Hurts switched. I think Jaden does take a step back this season. Because the film's out on him. Everybody's going to know how to approach and play him now. So let's see if he can overcome and adapt. Of course, you got Jalen Hurts at number 5. My only reason for having Joe Burrow at 4, if he can overcome that offensive line and not and not having a defense, he deserves to be there. He deserves to be there. Lamar is going to be Lamar, I think, until they get to the playoffs. That's when he'll have some trouble. I almost put Josh Allen ahead of Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes just gives you that something. That's something that I don't think Josh can do. He can will that team. Other than a Super Bowl, the Chiefs can be 20 points down going to the fourth. You're still not betting against Patrick Mahomes, so I got to leave him at number 1.
Gardy, talk to me about this list.
I like it. You know what? I like Bo Nix at 9 a lot better than Kyler Murray. I think Brock Purdy at 10 is interesting. I think obviously I think the biggest challenge sometimes with Brock Purdy too is we're talking about George Kittle, but I feel like if the offensive line is patchwork, it might really hurt Brock Purdy in the passing game because that's also just more time that George Kittle's going to have to be spending as a blocker trying to help make up for that O-line. But you know what? I think it's very possible too that Brock Purdy does overcome and play like he's in that I feel like after your top 5 quarterbacks, there's like a glob of quarterbacks that you can put between 6 and 13, and it would be just totally fine. And Brock Purdy's in that glob, so I don't hate it. But overall, I think it's a solid list.
Let me ask you a question, Will. I can't help but notice you don't have Jared Goff on here, and you don't have Stafford on here. And I'm assuming Stafford's not on here because everybody's concerned about him in his back situation.
Yeah, that was my thought process, is that back.
Yeah, I mean, because that would be the only reason I assume he wouldn't be on here, because he's better than most of the guys on the list. And so I get you're thinking that way because the guy hasn't played at all. Now they're not even sure he's going to be ready week 1. So, yeah, I wouldn't have him on here strictly because of his health. But it's interesting because, look, the last couple of seasons, Jared Goff was a top 10 quarterback. So what made you drop Golf out of the top 10 this year?
Again, step back, new offensive coordinator. I think I think the whole team on the offensive side takes a step back. I think the defense will be fine. But just with Ben Johnson being gone, I think they really take a step back offensively. That's why I put Brock there, because Brock's gonna have that at least a consistent OC. He's gonna go in on the game plan each and every week. Now you have another OC in Detroit you have to adjust to. So that's why I put Brock there at 10 rather than Golf.
So we got an interesting list. Brett, come on, explain it to the people, man. This is his ending the season list.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I don't believe. I think that you should make some bold predictions in your list, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Facts.
So, sometimes you predict that Tyrese Halliburton's going to play at a top 10 NBA level. Sometimes you predict that Paul George is going to be a top 25 NBA player. You win some, you lose some. So
come on from the bottom up, man. Come on.
All right. At number 10, obviously I got Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams is going to have a great year. And I'm encouraged by what I'm seeing in preseason. Now, listen, I know I get it. I can't over-index everything on too much on preseason. But it's the decision-making, right, that's really moving me. Last year when I watched him play in preseason, that's exactly what translated to the regular season. It's him trying to out-athlete and just – there really wasn't a structure. It was just pure chaos. When I watch it this year in preseason, it's him being quick and decisive in the pocket, drop back, 1-2, ball out, drop back, 2, ball out. But he still has that improv when he needs it. So I think Caleb Williams is finally going to, have that structure that he was really sorely lacking. And that's going to jump him all the way up into the top 10 in his second year. He's going to be even better than last year, and he's going to set some Bears quarterback records this year.
I think Jay Cutler got all them records, don't he?
Yeah.
Dak?
Saying, number 9, give me Dak Prescott. It's going to be a challenge defensively, but this offense, at the end of the day, they still have a lot of talent. They still have CD. So when it comes to Dak, I think people sometimes underestimate just how good Dak Prescott really is slinging the football.
Let me ask you this, Gardy, real quick. Let me ask
Go for it.
You don't think that Perkins and Lamb are going to be mashing heads along with the simple fact that they he might not be getting the ball back this season if they don't have Micah Parsons out there?
You know what? I think that's going to help him. I think that he's going to be able to put up a ton of stats because his defense is going to kind of suck, and I think that's really going to help him. And not only obviously does he has Lamb, but he also has Pickens. So I think Dak's going to put up a monster year, but I think the defense is going to stop him ultimately in the playoffs.
Let me ask you a question, Jordy. Sure. Do you have Dak there because of a lack of a run game from Dallas? Because you're asking a lot to get anything out of Javonte Williams. You got your rookie Jordan Blue. Do you think you have Dak? Is Dak there because of that possible lack of running game?
Oh, that's a part of it. I think he's going to have somewhat of a run game, but with somewhat of a run game and a rough defense, I think they're going to ask for Dak to put up a lot more, through the air, and I think he's going to deliver. He's delivered in years past, obviously not last year. He was dealing with some injuries last year, but I think that this year he gets back to, really dealing some massive yardage through the air, and he plays at the level of a top 10 quarterback.
I mean, is it really top 10 quarterback? I mean, he puts up a lot of empty calories, man. Like, his team don't win games, but he's putting up numbers.
I mean, his team's only in positions half the time to win game because of the offense. So it's one of those things. Like, I get it. You can call it empty calories, but they're only going to be in, the position to win games because of Dak and the offense. So, like, how empty calories are we really talking here? Like, if their defense can't get a stop to win a game, is that really Dak's fault?
I mean, you can't really establish a run game if you're always down and got to throw yourself back into the game. You know what I mean? So I I say some of it's was the defense problem, especially with the corners and Trayvon. The Diggs can't stay healthy, so it's bombs over Baghdad either way. Um, you can't really run the ball if you ain't got a good solid running back. So most of the time they just tossing the rock anyway, and they're down, trying to make comebacks. So I mean, the year he went for 45, I think he went like 12-4. That was a solid year, but they played a lot of coming from behind games. But go ahead, you continue your list.
No, and fair enough. The only other guy, obviously, I really thought throwing here was, or just in this list in general, was Justin Herbert. But after losing Slater and now they have to run like Bradley Bozeman and Trey Pipkins in their lineup, I think that offensive line is going to fail him more often than not. The limited reps he is going to drop back and pass, so it'll be a year for Herbert, but I think he's going to be either in the back end of a top 10 or just outside of it. And I put him just outside of it. I still think he's talented, but I think that line's going to fail him hard this year. And this one's also like depending on them re-signing, Scary Terry. I got Jaden Daniels though at 8. He showed a great deal last year, and I think he's gonna keep it up this year. He looked great. He looked great yesterday, but he also looked great against the Bengals defense. So I take that with a grain of salt. Say at 7, we got my guy Jordan Love. I think this is going to be a great breakout year for him. He's got one of the best offensive lines in the game that goes about 7 deep. Golden at wide receiver. They're young, they're talented, they're hungry. He's got a great run game to support him. He'll be back by week 1, and I think he's going to have a fantastic year. Matthew Stafford at 6. Look, I think Matthew Stafford's been dealing with back injuries since like the Obama administration. I'm not worried about Matthew Stafford.
Dang.
He has a live arm. They just gave him Devontae Adams. They're probably going to run the ball a lot to make sure to take pressure off of him. So is it possible that he's now like washed and just kind of accelerating the end of his career? It's possible, but I still think he has a decent amount left in the tank. I think he gives us one last hurrah this year with him, Devontae, and Puka, and I think it's going to be a ton of fun to watch him.
So you don't think they're gonna have problems if he's throwing that ball? Because you got Puka, he's proven to be one of them guys of the league, man, as a wide receiver. Then you got Devontae, who we all know he need them touches, man.
No, I think that like I said, I think as long as, and that's kind of the beauty too of Matthew Stafford, right? Those are two guys that can create some quick separation. So it's not like he has to make some really difficult reads most of the time. It's just going to be, hey, drop back, get the ball out quick. Because guess what? After 1 second, Devontae has his guy beat off the line of scrimmage. Oh, Puka has his guy beat right away. So he just got to make some quick, decisive reads, and I think that'll help him a lot.
And you pretty much got it. Mahomes at 4, though?
Say at 5, Jay Hurts.
Mahomes at 4?
I think that Patrick. So it's funny, right? If we're talking about who's the best quarterback in the NFL, and ironically, I do think Patrick Mahomes, technically overall, is still the most talented quarterback in the NFL. However, your most talented player doesn't always have the best individual season. And I think that's what's going to hurt Patrick Mahomes. I think the offense last year, they weren't explosive. They just took it. They just made plays when they needed to. And we're talking about an offense that Rashee Rice, they're probably going to lose him in the middle of the season to suspension. Travis Kelce, he looked old last year, and he's not getting any younger. So I think that, at the end of the day, if we're just talking about pure talent, Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback in the NFL. But I don't think he's going to have the best season of any quarterback in the NFL.
You don't think this is a redemption season for him, man?
I think he'll make it back to the playoffs, and I think he could very well make another Super Bowl run. But even for example, last year he made a Super Bowl run, and you could argue that there were 3 quarterbacks better than him last year too. Say 3, Josh Allen, 2, Lamar Jackson, and 1, Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow, if Joe Burrow takes his Bengals team to a wild card, just give him the MVP. I actually thought Joe Burrow could very well have an argument for being the best quarterback last year. He was fantastic. Him and Lamar Jackson, I think those 2 were the 2 best last year. But unfortunately, everything just around Joe Burrow let him down. Bad special teams, awful defense. This year, he's got an even worse defense, but I'm not going to sit here and try to count the defense and the special teams against Joe Burrow. At the end of the day, I watched him last year have a better year than guys like Allen and Mahomes, and I think he's going to do it again this year. I think he's going to come back, play angry, play with a vengeance, and be the best quarterback in the league this year. And I think as long as they even make a wild card spot, Joe Burrow might have a real chance at an MVP this year.
Mo, give me some insight on this list, man. How you feel about it? Give me some thoughts.
I think the top 6 players on that list are finite. Those are the best quarterbacks. I think Jordan Love will have a big season. He might be able to get inside that top 6, but barring his health, Matthew Stafford is one of the top 6 quarterbacks in the league. And when you look at this list, it's not based off of who's considered the best quarterback. I think it's based off of who's going to be the most productive, who's going to put up the bigger numbers and be more successful over the course of the season. And as great as Patrick Mahomes is, barring injury, Allen, Jackson, and Burrow are going to put up bigger numbers than him. Jalen Hurts might put up bigger numbers than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes didn't put up big numbers last year, didn't put up big numbers the year before. The Chiefs' offense is not an explosive offense. He just finds a way to win in the biggest situations in the postseasons, to his credit. And I don't think they're going to be a very good offense this season. But when it's all said and done, I'm sure the road to the Super Bowl will still travel through Kansas City. But I like the list. If I was going to nitpick, it would probably be the bottom 2 guys, because I'm just not a big believer of Caleb Williams. I think before the season's over, Ben Johnson will be bald. And I don't want to write him off. I want to remember I'm aware of the fact that he's a 2nd-year quarterback. Like, what if Caleb Williams has a mediocre year or somewhat of a down year? He's still a 2nd-year quarterback. Like, he can develop into a superstar. I think my problem with him is people are trying to push that label on him, and he hadn't earned it. Like, he hasn't done anything that says he's a top 10 quarterback, except that they added Ben Johnson, and they've given him all the weapons in the world, and they've bolstered up the offensive line. And so we're going off of, because they've done that, we expect him to be better. I look at his division. They're not going to be better than the Packers. They're not going to be better than the Lions. So how good is he actually going to be just in his own division? I think that he's going to have a mediocre season, because I still think that it's one thing to look good in the preseason, but when it's been for real, he doesn't look that great. He plays in panic mode more times than not. Like, a lot of quarterbacks handle pressure very well. He's not one of them.
My issue with Caleb Williams is unfair expectations, because to me, being a 2nd year, yes, they improved the situation with improving the line, with improving your talent around you, but this is still a developmental season for Caleb Williams. So I don't think we need to go into this season with Caleb looking at Super Bowl or playoffs. I think the thing we need to look at is not so much wins or losses, is the development of Caleb Williams as a player. And I think that's the thing that's being lost amongst a lot of folks in Chicago. It's the fact he is a second year. He still needs time to develop. Yes, give him the weapons to compete. I get that. But let's take these unfair expectations off the young man and give him a chance to develop.
Let me
Because a
ask
lot
you
of
this,
some
Will.
go ahead.
What first round pick one has never had expectations to be great?
Well, I'm
Except,
saying that, but I'm saying you're putting give them time to develop, and that's a problem as on us as a fandom that we expect a number one pick to go off and just Super Bowl that rookie year. We can't expect that out of these rookies.
you
Jaden
know why they
Daniels,
expect that out of him though?
Jaden Daniels is the exception, not the rule.
Or no, but you know why they
So
expect that out of Caleb Williams? Because of the simple fact that they did draft Justin Fields. They did nothing for Justin Fields. They
right,
couldn't even coach Justin Fields. They couldn't even
right,
play call for Justin Fields. And they
right.
moved Justin Fields out. They brought Caleb in. They're giving him everything.
Everything, right?
So that's where the expectation comes in at.
But
They
it
did
shouldn't.
nothing for Fields and they drafted him in the first round. Gave him nothing.
But I
Caleb comes in, they giving him everything he need.
but I still say it's unfair for this young man to have the expectation because again, you're a second year player.
Man,
Right.
Second year.
the pressure that this guy has, because to Carmike's point, because they've given him everything that
The
Fields
pressure
didn't
is
have,
thick.
he's got
Yeah.
he's got pressure times 20 on him. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally the Chicago fan base is gonna say, if we don't make the playoffs, you're a bum.
I mean, you also like he Will said, you got Jaden Daniels coming in year one was going off. CJ Stroud came in year one was
Again,
going off. So
exceptions
he's on
again,
that. He's in that range. You
exception.
got to do
But
That's
something.
more pressure. Isn't that more pressure though? That's
That
added
yeah,
is.
pressure. That's more
yeah.
pressure.
And but there are
Just saying.
exceptions, but there are exceptions, not the rule. That's my only issue. If this young man fails after what you've given him, what does that say about the Bears and that coaching staff? What
Well,
does
let's
that
be
say?
honest. Let's be honest. In the history of the Bears, they,
They
they
haven't
don't have
developed anybody.
they don't have a strong rep for quarterback development. Like
No, they haven't
they-
developed anybody.
the Bears are right there with the Jets and the Browns when it comes
Yep.
to quarterback development.
Yep.
Indeed, they are. Will, let me ask you this, brother. What do you think is the root issue of the Cowboys the last 30 years?
Mismanagement. Gross mismanagement. You could have signed these players 2 seasons ago and saved yourself money in free agency to improve the team. But instead of doing that, Jerry Jones wants to put himself as the attention grabber. Don't nobody go to a Dallas Cowboy game to see you. They come to see the players do their thing. And Jerry Jones needs to get out of the way and get some real football guys up in there to run that front office. And I think that's the thing that hurts the Cowboys is this mismanagement of the roster, mismanagement of the salary cap. Because again, you could have signed that way earlier, saved yourself some money. Same thing with CD Lamb. You would have money for Micah at that point if you would have done it that way. If you would just take the game plan of the Eagles, because they signed players when they should have in order to save themselves some money to be able to add additions to that team. Dallas didn't do that. And when you have the glaring example of a team should be run within your own division and you still can't look at that example, that's an indictment on you.
Gardy, what you think the Cowboys' problem in the last 30 years?
Lack of foresight. It's so funny because it's just so painfully obvious, right? Like, you knew you wanted to keep Micah Parsons, so why not sign him 2 years ago when you could have gotten him for cheaper?
Yep.
You knew you weren't going to get rid of CD Lamb, so once again, why didn't you sign him earlier when he was cheaper? Same with Dak Prescott. There are just some absolute, like, no-brainer, like, signings that you make. And by waiting, you're just going to end up costing yourself more money in the end when it comes to your top of the market guys. And it's funny when we're talking about, he talked about regretting extending guys like Trevon Diggs early, when in all reality, I think Trevon Diggs was actually compensated perfectly fine. It's just he unfortunately got injured. Like, he got paid a fair amount. Like, he's not overpaid, really. At the end of the day, I think he's just really got to, he's at a point where you just got to let get some football guys, let them take over. Get a real coach that, is going to coach and not just go, oh, yes, Jerry, anything you say, Jerry.
Exactly.
Like, he hasn't had that since the 90s, and ironically, that's the last time they won a Super Bowl. So
let this sink in, fellas. You signed Jake Ferguson to an extension before Michael Parsons. Come on now.
I mean, Jake Ferguson ain't making Michael Parsons money.
I ain't saying he is, but
you got to deal with a.
I'm just thinking. That's crazy to me. Get Micah in there.
Bro, I don't think you realizing Jake Ferguson is a lot less cheaper to sign than a Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons look at something along the range of Myles Garrett or a little above. Like that's a lot of money on your salary cap. You know what I mean? But Mo, talk to me, man.
I don't disagree with anything that any of the guys said. I think that Jerry Jones over the last 35 years or so has invested in the sizzle versus like building a foundational winning environment. If you think about it, those teams that won in the 90s, those were Jimmy Johnson's teams. Jimmy Johnson built those teams. Even the last championship where Jimmy Johnson wasn't the coach, that was Jimmy Johnson's team. Barry Switzer had one job: shut up and get out the way, and they're gonna win. It didn't matter if I was on the sideline. That team was winning the Super Bowl. It had nothing to do with the ability of Barry Switzer. It didn't. And I think that Jerry Jones has been chasing the ghost of Jimmy Johnson for over 30 years to prove he can win multiple Super Bowls without him, and he hadn't been able to do it. He hasn't been able to do it. I feel like Jerry is more interested in the Cowboys being the biggest brand in football versus being the best franchise in football. So I give him credit because in the bigger picture, it is a business. And the Cowboys, value-wise, money-wise, is still number one amongst all NFL franchises. But look at how they're built. Players that get drafted to the Cowboys, they come into a culture where they're considered stars before they've done anything. I don't think you are investing in or building a winning culture. What he's built successfully is he's built celebrity. He's built fan following. But they don't have real football guys in that locker room. What they have running the show are Jimmy and his family, and or Jerry and his family, and they're failing. They're failing at it. If they ever want to upgrade, the first thing they need to do is they need to hand the reins over to somebody else that knows football.
I have a question. Is there any other, and please forgive me if I don't know, because I'm not sure. Does any other owner in the NFL have a podcast other than Jerry Jones?
Nah, because most owners are afraid to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Most owners they don't want to.
They don't
want to tell. They don't want to be, and they're not trying to be celebrities. Jerry is trying to, and successfully, I think, be the biggest star in Dallas. It matters to him.
Who gonna go further? Texans or the Cowboys? Garden?
Texans.
I mean,
Texans, easy.
They probably flame out at a very similar spot in all reality. Like the Cowboys, at best, they flame out in the wild card. Texans, at best, they also probably flame out in the wild card. Like, I think the problems are just slightly different. The Cowboys just really don't have a defense where I think the Texans can get by even with just their pass rush, can mask a lot of problems with Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson.
Yep.
But I think the reality is they didn't really address their offensive line. Like, they tried to patch it up, but it was like putting a Band-Aid on the Titanic. Like, they did not do enough to really make me confident that that unit's going to be any good. So I think C.J. Stroud, and that's kind of why I didn't see C.J. Stroud on my top quarterback list. I think with the injuries to wide receivers that he's still dealing with, on top of obviously just having a patchwork offensive line, I think it puts the Cowboys and the Texans ceiling at around the same spot. So if I had to bet money, I think the Texans go further, but I don't really think that they go much further than the Cowboys.
I'm only saying the Texans because I also think they're in a much weaker division.
Yeah.
And when I look at the Cowboys and their shortcomings, poor offensive line, no run game, and you really want Dak throwing the ball 45 times, if they make the playoffs, coach of the year.
Hey, Will, I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So I seen Rashawn McCann said that Russell Westbrook should be known as the greatest point guard of all time due to the fact that he averaged a triple-double 4 years straight in his career. Man, no point guard has ever done it, and I think he's the top point guard with triple-doubles. What's your thoughts on this, man?
He's still wrong.
Statistically, Russell Westbrook.
Look, all that as far as the numbers, double doubles and all that, I'll give Westbrook that, but he's not where Rashawn McCants puts him. Magic is still the best point guard. He has the accolades, he has the feet, he's proved it on the court. Magic is still the best point guard. If you want to take, this dude,
this is a horrible question.
A cup of coffee in the league.
This is you. I don't think. I don't want to sound like a jerk, but I don't think they should be asking NBA questions to janitors.
I really don't. I agree with Mo. Magic is still the best point guard, and that's all it is to it.
I don't know, man. I had some janitors in my school that knew sports, man.
All my janitors gave me is dumb tips on relationships. So nah. Look, I'm gonna give it a buck. I get it's easier to go because of raw statistical numbers. Look, his numbers, Russ's numbers, I think we can all agree makes him a first ballot Hall of Famer. No debate.
Oh yeah.
No debate,
sure,
right?
Sure,
I don't think nobody, but we can sit here literally and do Russell Westbrook and I'm telling you right now, more times than not, Russ is going to come out on the short end of the stick on a Russell Westbrook
Yep.
But like there's guys that put up numbers and there's guys that win games. If I said Russell Westbrook or Jason Kidd, you're gonna take Jason Kidd. If I said Russell Westbrook or Isaiah Thomas, you're taking Isaiah Thomas.
Yep.
Which Isaiah? You talking about the real Isaiah?
No, not the little stumpy guy that got hurt. I'm talking about Isaiah Thomas.
Stumpy guy.
I ain't talking about the little stumpy guy. I'm talking about Isaiah Thomas. But my point is, the list of guys that are stars that you say that are behind Russell Westbrook is short. You're not going to take Russell Westbrook over Chris Paul. Nope. You're not going to take Russell. There's just so many guys. I'm not knocking Russ because his numbers are his numbers. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like putting him amongst the other elite point guards, for Rashard McCants, by the way, McCants saying something like that, it's not shocking. He said worse, believe it or not. He said worse. I'm not even putting Russell Westbrook ahead of Oscar Robertson, and he's got more triple doubles than Oscar Robertson. But he's not a better basketball player than Oscar Robertson.
I think he got more triple doubles than all the point guards.
Sure, but who is
he all that?
But who is he better than?
It's context too. Because he was the engine. He was particularly early in his career after Kevin Durant left. He was the engine of OKC to acquire most of that. But no, McCants is wrong, completely wrong. Magic is still number one. No question, Magic number one.
Gardy, how you feel about Russell being amongst the top of the point guards, man? Statistically,
sure. Statistically, it looks great. But if we're going by statistically, I'd be up here saying that Will Chamberlain's the greatest center of all time. But I'm not saying that, and I'm not going to say that Russ is the greatest point guard of all time. I think Russ is being closer to out of the top 10 completely than being the greatest point guard of all time.
Man got a point.
Say,
Ooh.
like I said,
You ain't got a point.
it's not really a diss to Russ. It's when you're
I don't
talking
know, man. It seems
when
a
you're
little-
talking
You
about
ain't got a
Russ, it's the impact, right? We can talk about he puts up all these big numbers and it looks great, and then you watch him play, and then as fun and electric as he is, he plays 100, at 100 speed the entire game, but that backfires a lot of the time because as great as he is, isn't anybody I'd rather have the ball in clutch time, maybe less, out of all the all-time point guards than Russell Westbrook in clutch time. I think he's a great player. I think he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I think he's one of the 10 greatest point guards to play the game, maybe. And if you want to put him at like 11, I don't think that's a slight to Russell Westbrook. I think you could argue that he's a top 15 regardless. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. The best point guard? Nah, that's as crazy as Rashad McCann saying he could have had Kobe's 81 in the game. I'm putting that.
He did say that. He said that with his chest too. He did say that.
I got a question, and this is going to fall more along what Mo's thinking. Why are we listening to him? He had a cup of coffee in the league.
Hey man, I wanted to see what y'all thoughts was on it, man.
He's got a cup of coffee in the league.
I mean, statistically, he got a point, but Russell just,
but there's context behind it. It's and he's not looking at the context.
Statistically, Russell is one of them point guards, but I wouldn't take him because he ain't clutch for me. You know what I mean? He don't.
Yeah.
When I need him to deliver games like Chris Paul or somebody,
right?
He ain't delivering me no games.
So let me ask y'all this: where would y'all put him? Where would you rank him? Top 15, top 20?
He might be top 10, but if he is top 10, he would probably be 10.
He's at 10. Yeah.
I think the most accurate is probably top 15, and if you want to say he's 10, he's like right at number 10.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, we gonna need that list later.
Here's a here's a complicated comparison. You can take Russ and all his flaws and his numbers, and then take Steve Nash, who's a 2-time MVP. But obviously, everybody talks about how Steve Nash is a 0 on the other end of the floor. But those two MVPs weigh heavily. How much better is Steve Nash and Russell Westbrook?
Oh, I would take Steve Nash
give me Nash
over Russell.
No, this isn't me killing Steve Nash. I'm just pointing out that yes, if you're talking about because this is the argument, right? They'll say Steve Nash doesn't play defense or whatever, but if you're trying to win a basketball game, who would you want the ball? Whose hands would you want the ball? You'd want it in Steve Nash's hands.
The question is, are we in the game with Nash not playing no defense? Are we in the game?
Oh yeah, you're always.
You're in the game because he's hiding somewhere while somebody else plays defense.
Say, Steve Nash was like a Robert Horry hip check away from going to the NBA Finals.
Hey, man, look. I just wanted to present the question, man.
That's a good one, though.
We are getting ready to wind it down. Anybody have any closing guard? You got any closing thoughts for our people?
No, yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It was a lot of fun. There will not be an episode of Meaty Boys tonight. We'll incorporate some more wrestling talk into the morning show on Friday this week.
Perfect.
I have to work tonight because I'm going to a Renaissance fair on Sunday, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But we'll still make sure to bring you your dose of wrestling content.
Will, closing remarks for our people.
Just want to say thank you for everybody coming out this morning to watch the show. We appreciate you guys, and I'll see y'all next week.
And as always, if you mow better, you do better. Close us out, big dog.
Hey, thank you, chat. We appreciate the comments and the energy. Guys, make sure you check out all the great contents we have at the Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network, we appreciate you.